Hey there, Lisa here. Welcome to my channel. I hope you'll join me in my love of crafting and DIYs and hit that subscribe button. This video is part of Karen and I's tissue paper tour, where we send each other tissue paper that we then craft with. It's so much fun, and this is the last one of the year 2023. Be sure to check out Karen. She is a master crafter, and there will also be a playlist full of more tissue paper inspiration linked below in my description box. Quick shout out to Debbie at Blossom Your Creativity. She received her tissue paper from me, so check out her channel to see what I sent her and what she did with it. All right, I received my tissue paper from Farmhouse Frugally. Let's take a look. That time again. I got my tissue paper. I am so excited. So I received my tissue paper from Cheryl over at Farmhouse Frugally. And so I will link her channel below. So let's see what she sent me. Oh my goodness. Did she make this? Oh, Cheryl, did you print this? This is so fun. Oh, this is fun. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. Oh, well, maybe. I can't decide. Did you print these or did you find these somewhere? How cool. Thank you, thank you. My neighbor is a piano teacher. I might have to make something for her with that. And then we have, what is this? Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. An old rusty tractor. There's just nothing better. Ooh, and some pretty flowers. Oh, that is pretty, pretty. And so big. That's such a... Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Ideas are already coming. Oh, and then some extras. Oh, and this. Where did you find these? These are so fun. Farm to table, live simply. Oh, these are great. Thank you so much. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And then some, are these clings or stickers? I have to investigate. They're prints. Oh, how fun. Merry Christmas. Ooh, I love these. Ooh, those are so pretty. Cheryl, do you print these? I'm talking to you as though you're gonna answer. Oh, those will be fun to decoupage with too. Oh, thank you. And then there is, last but not least, a card. Oh, Bluebird. That's a real photograph. I wonder if she took it. First time joining in on this kind of challenge. I was very disappointed at the tissue decoupage paper I bought you on Amazon, but ran out of time. Hopefully you can still create something wonderful. Oh, I love it. I'm certain I can come up with something. Thank you so much, Cheryl. So happy to have you in the challenge this time. Can't wait to see what you do. All right, it is time to get into crafting. So for the first DIY, I took one of these wood rounds from the Dollar Tree, and I had previously painted it white off camera, and I am just giving it a light sanding as my paint was a little bit old and a little chunky. So I'm just sanding it down smooth. We are going to take our handy dandy Mod Podge, and this is a satin sheen, and we are going to give it a nice thick, even coat all the way around the wood round. While our wood round is drying, we are going to take this old tractor, which is just so cool, and I am going to take a water pin and go around it, and we are going to tear the edges so that we can use it on our sign. And this is a little bit tedious, and you just want to be careful not to tear your design. Once the Mod Podge is dry, we are going to take and lay down our cutout tractor on the wood round, and we're going to take and cover it with parchment paper, and then using a mini press, mini iron, regular household iron, whatever you have on hand, we are going to iron it on. And this gives you a nice smooth finish as it reactivates that Mod Podge and sticks that image down with nearly a flawless finish. Once that is all done, we are going to take a sanding file. I just like to use the nail files. I get these on Amazon because they're just a nice size to use for these signs. And we are just going to sand in a downward motion to get the remaining tissue paper off. We're going to set the sign aside, and we are going to take these little ornaments that you can get from the Dollar Tree. They come in a package of about 5 to 8 depending on which design. And we're going to take a butterfly, a snowflake, a leaf, and a bird. And what I'm doing here is I am applying antique wax with a baby wipe. I just love the finish that this gives. A light coat of the antique wax, and it just goes on really smooth with the baby wipe. I will warn you that you do get little fuzzies on it, so those are sort of fun to pick off when you're done. But I am just going to take and I am going to coat all 4 of these ornaments with the antique wax applied with the baby wipe, and I am going to do front and back. All right, back to the sign. I designed this on the Cricut design space, and I am going to apply this to the sign. It says, "Life is like the seasons, always changing." And so we are going to lay this down. Now, it was a little bit, either way, it's a little bit crooked to me, depending on how you hang the sign. And so I just went with it and lined it up along the bottom edge. You could take this apart and line them up differently if you so choose. You could also, if you have really nice handwriting, handwrite this or stencil it if you don't have a Cricut. I then applied a coat of Mod Podge over the top as this vinyl is a little bit shiny, and it was too shiny for the matte finish on the rest of the round. To hang the round, I just used twine and I threaded it through the back so that I could put the knots on the front of the sign. You could do this in reverse if you don't like the looks of the knot on the front. And so then you just knot it and cut it off, and then do the same on the other side. I then took a teeny tiny little S hook, and I am just going to loop it through this hole here. It took a little bit. I had to bend it to get it through, and this is where we will hang our little ornaments. And then I just tightened it on the back. I apologize that I went off frame there. To hang the ornaments, I use these little jump rings that I have for making jewelry. You could use something like this, or you could hang them on twine or ribbon. It would be kind of cute to do a fun ribbon for each of the holidays, whatever your preference is here. But I just used these little jump rings. I took these 2 ribbons, and then I am just taking and dovetailing the ends of each one here. Once I got them all dovetailed, I am just going to take and lay them out on top of one another, and we are going to make a messy bow. And so you just cut a length of your twine and just tie the ribbons together. And this is pretty much the only way that I know how to make bows. I really need to learn to make all the pretty bows that you see out there. But you just tie it on and cut off the extra twine. And then I just took and with hot glue, I'm going to adhere it to the top of our sign. For DIY 2 and 3, I am going to show you 2 easy ways to decorate the plastic bulbs you get at Dollar Tree. You get a pack of 2 for $1.25 with tissue paper. So for the first one, we are just going to cut this tissue paper into strips. Then we are going to take those strips and we are simply going to roll them up and put them in our bulb ornament. Now, first I was rolling them backwards as I was thinking that they would unroll a little bit more, but turns out you want to roll them with the right side out. See, this is all a learning process. And so we are just going to take several of these, roll them up and stick them inside the ornament. And that is as complicated as this DIY number 2 gets. For DIY number 3, or our second bulb ornament, I am going to take my water paintbrush here and I am just going to rip strips of this tissue paper. Next, I am just simply going to take and decoupage these onto the bulb ornament using Mod Podge. And so Mod Podge and a paintbrush, and we are just going to take and apply some Mod Podge to the bulb, and then we're going to take a piece of tissue paper and just lay it down. Now this is sort of my favorite way to decoupage. It's just sort of all messy like this. And you just sort of layer it until you get the look that you are after. And we are going to cover the whole bulb ornament in this same manner. So lay down your decoupage, then your tissue paper, and then go over the top with more decoupage. Let me know in the comments below, do you like doing this? I just love the mess and the fun of this. Love to know if you guys enjoy this or if you prefer the ironed on, more perfected look. When we get it all covered, we are just simply going to set it aside to dry. Once it had dried, that first coat had dried, we are going to take and apply a second coat of Mod Podge over the top of the whole thing, making sure that we get every little piece stuck down. To finish off our little ornaments, I just took some lengths of black ribbon that I just had in my stash, and I just looped it through and tied a knot on the top, and that is it. For DIY number 4, we are going to make some jewelry. And so I am just taking a piece of tissue paper. I do several different ones that I will show you at the end, but for the purposes of videoing, I am showing you with this music tissue paper again. So I am just going to, I sort of made a little template to get it close to the size of the bezel, and I am just cutting out my tissue paper to the same size. And then we are going to take and Mod Podge it into the bezel and then set that aside to dry. Next, we are going to go out into my sunroom and we are going to mix resin. So the resin that I'm using, there is 2 parts. So you have part A and part B, and you want to mix them at a 50-50 ratio. So basically you want the same amount of each. So I have filled 1 cup with portion A, and now I'm filling the second cup with portion B. Then we are going to pour them together. We'll take a little popsicle stick and we will scrape out the sides. And then what you do is you stir this for 3 to 5 minutes together until your milky consistency goes away and you have a nice clear epoxy to work with. You have stirred for 3 to 5 minutes, you take your bezel and then you take your epoxy, and we are just simply going to pour the epoxy right on top of the bezel, and you pour until you get a little bit of a bubble over it, and then you stop. Now, these are pretty easy to overpour. These should actually be stuck down to tape in case you do overpour them. That will keep the resin from sticking to the back of the bezel. Unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. And so I am doing it wrong here, but you would want to lay this down on some resin tape. And then you take and with a barbecue lighter, a heat gun, blow dryer, whatever you got, and you are just going to heat up any air bubbles to get them to pop. Then you will set it aside to dry. This cures in 24 to 48 hours. You want to make sure that you are at a steady 75 or plus degrees when you are doing resin, or it may not cure properly. I actually have a resin heater because I live in a cold climate. I am including this thrift flip that I did because I'm using tissue paper, and it's the favorite tissue paper, the reason Karen and I started this challenge. I got these 2 drawers, 2 matching drawers, free at a garage sale, and I decided I wanted to make a jewelry display out of them. So first I cleaned them, they were filthy, and next I removed the handles. I then took them outside and sprayed both drawers inside and out with this sage green color. And I just did one thicker coat of this. I'm going to be sanding this down so it didn't have to be too perfect. And then once that had dried, I took and I'm going to go over it with a coat of white. Let that dry, and then I did do another coat of white. Once that was all good and dry, I am going to take a good thick coat of Mod Podge and apply all over the bottom of the inside of the drawer, because we are going to decoupage this. And as you can see, my paint isn't perfect on the inside of the drawer. I wasn't too worried about that because I sort of wanted it to look antique-y anyhow. So again, we are just applying a nice thick coat of Mod Podge, and you can use whatever sheen you like. This is the matte Mod Podge, and as you can see, I'm applying it pretty thick. Once the Mod Podge was good and dry, I am going to lay in this tissue paper, and I am going to then I'm trying to fold it so that I can then cut down that edge so that it fits inside the drawer. Now, this didn't fit clear to the edges, so I decided to just place it in the middle. You could try and line them up and do the whole bottom of the drawer, but with the way this is going to be standing, I didn't think that it was going to make that big of a difference. So I'm just going to cut it down to size and then lay it down inside the drawer. And then I'm going to take and cover it with a piece of parchment paper, and we are going to apply this with a mini iron. You could As I'm doing this with the mini iron, I'm like, this is silly. I should have broke out my real iron. It would have went much quicker, but I had my mini iron all heated up, so I did do it this way. So you can use any iron or press or anything that you have. And this just reactivates the Mod Podge, and it really gets you a super nice finish. Next up in our process is to sand. And so I just took one of these sanding blocks that you can pick up at Dollar Tree, or I think I may have gotten this one on Amazon. And I am just going to rough up the paint so that some of the bare wood comes through and some of the green underneath comes through. And this is a messy process, so be prepared for that. Once I had it sanded all to my liking, I'm going to take this polyurethane and go over the tissue paper section. If you get too much, this will bubble up your tissue paper, but don't panic, we're going to fix that. I may have bitten off more than I can chew with a bunch of my projects, so my husband is helping me. And what he is doing here is just drilling some little pilot holes so that we can then screw in the little hooks that will hang our necklaces. Once the pilot holes were drilled, then you can just take your little hooks and screw them in by hand. And by the time I got done with both drawers, I can tell you my little fingers were pretty sore. Next, I screwed back in the handles on each of the drawers. So I am showing you here how it bubbled up. The tissue paper bubbled up after applying that polyurethane, but we are going to fix that. And we are going to do that by going back to our parchment paper and iron method, and we are just going to iron it. And this, again, reactivates all of those glues and gives you a nice smooth finish. So we are going to do that process on both the drawers. And this is sped up significantly. You are really going at a very slow pace. And this is the hardware that I picked out for the drawer. And so again, my husband is helping me, and he is going to drill through the drawer. Now, these screws are too long, and we knew that going in. We looked around and could not find the right size screw. And so my husband said that he would just grind down the screws for me. So normally you would not go all the way through the drawer. If you got the right size screws, you would just do a little pilot hole. But we are going to screw completely through and then take and screw in the little screws that came with the hardware. And so we're applying the hinges here. Okay, so here is the mess of what it looks like when you screw through the side of the drawer. So my husband took his grinder and he ground those down smooth for me. Now in the process of doing that, it did mess up my paint a little bit. And I apologize, I just did not have time to go back through and get this fixed before this video was due. But basically what I will do to fix it is just add a little bit more white paint, and then I will go back over and sand it again and you won't even see it. But here is what that grinder did to my beautiful work. But it was worth it because I did get the hinges that I wanted. And then same process to just apply the little clasp. And here we go. Here's a look at everything we made today. First up, we have our little changing seasons sign, and you see it here with the leaf because we are falling into fall. And life is like the seasons, always changing. And since the challenge has taken us through all the seasons now, I'm going to show you winter. And then we have the fall leaf and the summer butterfly and the spring bird. Next up, we have our simple little music ornaments just by rolling them and placing them inside. This is kind of fun. Here we have our other simple little ornament where we just took the tissue paper and ripped it into strips and decoupaged it on. We have our fourth project, which are the bezels, and I do apologize, I was actually out of chain, so I unfortunately don't have video of it on a necklace. And finally, we have our bonus project, our little necklace holder that was made out of 2 throwaway drawers and, of course, some tissue paper and the favorite tissue paper. I'm new to doing craft booths, so that is what you are seeing here is this setup at my first craft booth. Hey, I appreciate you guys taking the time to stop in today and hang out and craft. I hope that you have found something that will inspire you. If so, please hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed and share with your friends. Thanks again and have a lovely day.